very good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome to it. This is the Wednesday edition of the Breakfast Show. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Did I say edition? It's edition, actually, of the Wednesday Breakfast Show. My name is Sharon once again, and on the other chair is Patrick Soko.
Yeah.
Of course, today is policy and politics, and a lot of current affairs we will be delving into. You can send us those text messages commenting on issues that are affecting you in your various localities, as well as the stories that we will be zooming in.
Interesting, quite interesting. You have to say your name twice to make it nice, sound nice, and of course you are beautifying the screen with that new look. I cannot imagine. You just needed to say it twice because I agree with you.
Oh my!
Yes.
Did you see the hair coming on my face and I just did that?
Yes, and I agree with you.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, quite interesting. How was the long holiday, Sharon?
Working.
Work.
We worked. You worked half of it, I worked half of it, and actually was about work.
Exactly, and it was the holiday that also saw us having the trade fair. Quite a number of activities happening on the Copper Belt, Sharon.
Indeed,
Yeah.
A lot of activities, a lot of stories coming from there. A lot of awards being won by companies that were exhibiting, ministries, the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. I think they won an award. I don't know what for though, because that ministry, Patrick, you and I don't even know what they are doing at the moment. So really, that award that they won got me thinking and got me questioning without finding answers to say, okay, which one we need now? You know, things like that.
You just think probably need to shower or something?
I don't know, maybe it's just to encourage them. You know, there are those recognition awards just for you to maybe
by virtue of their existing.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes. Just to encourage them, maybe because they are a new ministry. You know, they haven't done much, so maybe to just put the morale in them to say, okay, do better next time. Let's hope when they're exhibiting probably in the agriculture show, it will be a different story.
When you talk about that, Sharon, about whether they are neither here nor there, I think we had a conversation with one of our sources who was talking about the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, and also the Ministry of Small Scale. There was quite an emphasis to say probably the Ministry of Commerce is overshadowing that, because if you look at the Ministry of Commerce, probably most of it's a cross-cutting ministry, and initially that ministry was actually a department under the Ministry of Commerce. So if you look at it critically, for me, we're just duplicating issues. So for me, if that ministry is to also make a mark and also just gain traction, for me, it needs to have flagship program that really speak to the needs of small-scale entrepreneurs, because at the end of the day, whatever the Ministry of Commerce has been trying to achieve, it's what the ministry seeks to achieve as well, the Ministry of Small. Now, we had a story, Sharon, I think, when you were working, where the Clean Association of Zambia were saying that these two ministries are going to the investors, for instance, to just lobby that our products that are being produced even by our SMEs should just probably be on their shelves. They go with a begging hand.
Attitude.
Yes. So, but that attitude, I don't think is for the government. For me, I tend to worry at the moment when I see a president or a member of parliament or a minister, matter of fact, saying, there is a need to do what? There is a need.
Why are you not saying, let's do this?
Let's do this. You just got to say, no, I've done an SI that is going to stop you, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. If you don't want to shut down, you go and open elsewhere. No, they will take you serious. If you look at countries like Botswana, the way chain stores and everything, the way they are operating, they work in tandem, Sharon. They work in unison. And it is the interest of the government. But now, here in Zambia, if we're going to be everything giving the private sector a upper hand, and at the end of the day also give them these incentives.
Tax incentives, whatever incentives.
What are we doing to our own industry?
By the time they are growing, they change their name into another entity. Again, you give them other incentives. These are issues that have always been coming up time without number on the issues to do with the locals not being given the same incentives as those that are coming in the name of investors. I actually think Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises need a mutati there. For for it to be revived, definitely, it needs a Mutati. You know how Mutati makes a boring ministry
Interesting, yeah. Like the way he's making technology and stuff, you know,
interesting, you know. I think that ministry needs a Mutati. For me, that's it. Just a Mutati there. I
didn't say there's anyone boring or anything or some sort, no, but we were just trying that way. It needs something. It
needs a Mutati. Honestly, I have no apologies. That ministry needs somebody with the vibe of Mutati for it to revive, because it's a new ministry. Equally with the Ministry of Technology and Science, or is it Science and Technology? It's a new ministry, but look at how Mutati has made it look as though it's the most happening ministry, you know, because he's put his upper hand there. He's engaging stakeholders, he's meeting companies, he's meeting organizations that are in the technology sector. If
there's something that excited me about that ministry, Sharon, is that I was able to see the production of desks,
you know,
under it,
you know,
and
these are same months. We can't say no. This ministry, that's quite right. It was Ministry of Higher Education. It was responsible for skills and development, and many others like the Science National Science Center was falling under it. But still, you know, equally we can say the same thing with Ministry of Small and Medium. For me, it's very key, especially that the Chief Marketing Officer, President Hakainde Hichilema, has been talking about reviving the economy through private sector involvement, through entrepreneurship. It just needs to be there, you know, that ministry.
But they are busy singing the song of cooperatives.
It needs to be there. It's like the cooperatives are the only thing that we need. But anyways, before we bore the viewers out there, let's look at what the doctors have brought for us. Dr. Nyango on deck, bringing us issues to do with cancer. Let's look at this. On the other side, we continue the conversation. Good morning.
I'm Dr. Kalua Nyango from the University Teaching Hospital, Department of Surgery. I'm a urologist. Today we are going to talk about prostate cancer. So prostate cancer is a cancer that arises from the prostate gland. So what is the prostate gland? The prostate gland is a gland that is found in men, and it produces substances that are responsible for the liquefaction of semen. So prostate cancer arises from the prostate gland. It is one of the most common cancers in men, and worldwide it is the second most common cancer in men, with lung cancer being the most common cancer. So what is the epidemiology of prostate cancer, and what are the risk factors of prostate cancer? So the risk factors of prostate cancer are age greater than 50, black race or being of African descent, age greater than 45, and with a family history of prostate cancer either on the paternal side or from the maternal side, or age greater than 40 with a history of breast cancer in the family, what is called the BRCA1 gene. So, how does prostate cancer present? So, prostate cancer may present asymptomatically, so that means there could be no symptoms, or it could present with symptoms, that is what we refer to as lower urinary tract symptoms, or it could present with symptoms of metastatic disease, and that will include things such as back pain, or what we call acute spinal cord compression if it complicates. So, how do you make a diagnosis of prostate cancer? So, a diagnosis of prostate cancer is made on the basis of PSA and digital rectal exam. So PSA is a substance that is produced by the prostate gland, and in prostate cancer it increases. So a raised PSA will raise a suspicion of prostate cancer, and that, coupled with a digital rectal exam, is also used in the diagnosis of prostate cancer, with a definitive diagnosis of prostate cancer being made on biopsy of the prostate gland. So in view of this, how is prostate cancer managed, and why is it important to screen for prostate cancer? So it is important to screen for prostate cancer because in our setting, especially among people of African descent, it is found that by the time they present with prostate cancer, they present with advanced disease and more aggressive disease. So early screening for prostate cancer will prevent the progression to advanced disease, and thus it can be found at an early stage when it is curable. So how do we treat prostate cancer? So treatment of prostate cancer is dependent on what we call whether the disease is localized or it's advanced disease. So you have a classification where you have low risk disease, intermediate risk disease, and high risk disease, where we look at several factors that include the stage of the prostate cancer, what we call the Gleason score. And these are some of the factors we look at when looking at the risk stratification of prostate cancer. So how do you manage? For localized disease, so this means disease that is confined to the prostate and it hasn't spread beyond the prostate gland. This is an opportunity for curative treatment, and in this case we can use radical prostatectomy, which is a removal of the prostate gland, including the capsule in which the prostate gland is found, or radiotherapy. There is also an option of what we call active surveillance in low-risk disease. That is if the stage of the disease is not advanced. So active surveillance is where you postpone treatment with the intention of treating with disease progression. So this is an option for low-risk disease, that is very early stage disease, and it has found that with active surveillance, people can live even up to 25 years, even with the presence of prostate cancer. So what justifies management of prostate cancer using active surveillance is that you have to weigh the benefits of treatment against the quality of life. So you find that in a low-risk disease, sometimes you will postpone treatment for the sake of in order to have a better quality of life for the patient. So for advanced disease or for metastatic disease, that is disease that has spread beyond the prostate, prostate cancer is treated using what we call androgen deprivation therapy. So what this means is that we remove the source of testosterone, or we suppress testosterone production. So this can be either medical management or surgical management. So medical management is where we use drugs in order to suppress the testosterone or to block the points where testosterone binds on the cells And surgical management is where we actually do castration in order to cut out the source of testosterone. The justification behind this is because prostate cancer thrives on testosterone. So by lowering the testosterone levels, we slow down the progression of prostate cancer. So on that note, what is the take-home message for prostate cancer? So remember that prostate cancer in people of African descent usually takes a more aggressive course, and by the time it's being diagnosed, the disease is advanced. So it is important to screen for prostate cancer if you are of African descent, if you are greater than 50 years of age, if you are greater than 45 years with a family history of prostate cancer, or you are greater than 40 years with a family history of breast cancer. In terms of symptoms, if you notice any change, for example, weak flow of urine, blood in urine, blood in semen, if you notice any of these symptoms, this should alert you to seek the services of a urologist. On that note, I end today's talk. Thank you.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko, and Sharon Kalimbula. Quite an interesting segment there, the health corner, and the doctor did elaborate quite a number of issues pertaining to cervical, prostate cancer, and being entangled with the many issues.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
What are you thinking?
Women in your mind.
What are you thinking?
Anyways.
Yes, prostate cancer there. I think I know someone who had prostate cancer, and I came to learn about it a little bit more. It was quite a common person, Sharon, Dr. Manasseh P. I remember Mati P. These were people who helped contributed towards gaining the traction on terms of awareness of the disease. I remember of Chanda Chimba also did a lot of advocacy works to ensure that there is just quite a number of awareness activities pertaining to this disease. And Mr. Chanda Chimba did also run an organization. It should be Prostate Cancer Association or something like that, but I don't know how active it is at the moment. But then when he was the leader of that organization, Sharon, it did quite a number of issues in terms of ensuring that we advocate and ensure that we become proactive. Yes, because at the end of the day, if you are not sensitized on any disease, you do not understand to what extent can it affect you. And prostate cancer is quite a delicate disease, and we just have to make sure that we take a proactive approach as men. So I'm just appealing to my fellow men like Mr. Lungu, Mr. Munungwe, Mr. Malundu, Mr. Chifita. All these guys are the guys who are behind the production. And if we are not proactive ourselves, we risk missing work, because probably we may be spending more time going to the cancer disease hospital. So I would say prevention is better than cure. So you can just go for a checkup, just like others go for a checkup. You just go and check if your eyes are okay, if your ears are okay. Yeah, so we just have to also make sure that we do take a proactive approach on prostate cancer. Okay, you were about to accuse me of being thinking about women issues. No, like Sharon, I'm actually right to actually think that, because if you understand, cervical cancer was more like a myth in Zambia. Yes. But you see the awareness that was drawn out around it. So there was a lot of awareness.
Can be drawn to
there was yes.
it would be a better thing.
And you are aware that, for example, for cervical cancer, the services are free. Everything, you are assisted. There's a lot of funding around it. But for prostate cancer, it has been a different case altogether, because we were also, I remember these advocates were also fighting for the aspect of making sure that screening is equally free and readily available at any health center, because some health centers cannot do that, Sharon. But for cervical cancer, you go at level 1 hospital. They'll be able to attend to you, provide the medicine, and the government is even proactive by going to schools to ensure that girls are protected. So probably if we do the same, it would go a long way, Sharon.
With the vaccine as well coming into play.
Yes.
Exactly. All right, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast. In case you are just joining us, let's look at how the money markets are as of today, the 6th of July, 2022. The United States dollar is buying at 16 kwacha 44 way and selling at 16 kwacha 76 way. The euro is at 18 kwacha 89 way and selling at 19 kwacha 26 way. The Great British Pound is at 19 kwacha 74 way and selling at 20 kwacha 13 way, while the South African rand is at 1 kwacha and selling at 1 kwacha 02 way. Those are your money markets as of today. And remember that this segment is up for sponsorship, and therefore, if you want to tell us how your exchange rates are on those banks or those bureau de change, or anywhere, did I just? It sounded like I said change, chain. Okay, yeah.
But if you say it like that in Zambia, it's okay.
Like yes,
it's okay.
Yes.
Let's be like Nigerians.
Yeah.
You could not, they have their own English. I don't know how they invented it.
I actually
go for school.
I actually came across one on social media. Imagine if the Bible was written in Nigerian English.
But there's a version that can be written in that language.
Imagine if the Bible was written in Nigerian English. Now God say.
Now God say.
But anyway, story for another day. You can imagine how that Bible would be in church.
Yeah, so even as Sharon, it's okay if we say bureau de change, because at the end of the day, we also have our own.
Right pronunciation though.
You say it yourself in your own French, whatever, you do say it, but I don't know, it has also skipped you because you've been trying to master it for a long time. But again, I think it's normal that it has escaped you.
It has betrayed me. But anyways, over the past weekend, we were celebrating Heroes and Unity Day, and therefore we gathered some of the stories, and let's look at one of them, where Reverend Solomon Bula urged the church to be cautious towards receiving donations from political parties, stating that these clouds their objectivity when offering guidance on governance issues. In an interview, Reverend Bolo says the clergy have an important role of uniting the country, hence the need for the church to be depoliticized and base its guidance on the Word of God. Meanwhile, in a separate interview, Republican Progressive Acting President Mr. Cassius Capella says politicians should be able to offer sound advice to any party in government. Let's look at the story.
Zambia is one of the African countries not only richly endowed in natural resources, boasting of over 72 ethnic groups, each one having a unique dialect. The motto of One Zambia, One Nation has been emphasized since the country got its independence in 1964, a call for unity. The story on the political scene has however been different over the years, with some political parties using tribal lines to gain political mileage. In the midst of the confusion, the church, among other players on the governance scene, has come on board, calling for unity. As the country commemorates Unity Day, which is celebrated on 5th July every year, a clergyman, Reverend Solomon Bulo, has called for the church to be depoliticized if it's to offer objective checks and balances. In this vein, the clergyman has called on churches to be careful about receiving donations from politicians.
And coming to donation, I know that during elections, our politicians visit our churches. I want to warn our fellow clergy that let us not be blinded, maybe by the donations, the gift that they bring in our churches, because the Bible says gift brands a man. So what I'm trying to say that the clergy should be aware. If the politicians are coming to our church with donations which are attached with conditions, we should refuse such donation. But instead, let us accept these donations which are done at a goodwill, so that our churches maybe can develop. You know, in the Bible, there's a sort of Judas with a blood money. You know, we need to reject blood money, but we accept clean money.
Meanwhile, Republican Progressive Party RPP acting president Mr. Kesha Sakapelwa has added his voice, stating that politicians should uphold the overall goal of development even as they practice politics.
It's incumbent upon us Zambians to preserve it and guard it, because we're torchbearers of unity in this particular region, Africa in all. So I want to urge all the Zambians at this juncture that we should unite for us to foster development. And as we know that the President of this Republic has made those pronouncements in all the facets at which he finds themselves having those press briefings. So I think let's take a leaf from that. As we unite, I think we'll be able to see development at the end of the day.
Zambia is celebrating Unity Day, which emphasizes on the country uniting in the midst of diversity. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Yes, indeed. Yesterday was Unity Day, and that clergy there was just encouraging the clergy to say, let us not be blinded by donations that come with these political figures. The brown envelopes, Patrick, you and I are aware, and we've seen these things happen when it's time for elections, especially where these political office bearers or would-be office bearers would go to church from one church to another, and when the service is done, but when you know, like the fat pockets, and that blinds people's judgments. And we saw that especially in 2012. We had a number of them who actually even sided with the ruling party then and actually called themselves Christian for this, you know, when in the actual sense it shouldn't be like that. What that causes is it divides the country, because the clergy really are equally on the same pedestal with the traditional leaders. They're not supposed to take sides. But once they begin to do that, that means they're dividing the country. They're supposed to be neutral and unite everybody. One, because in the church, different people of different political affiliations go to.
You are right.
You know, for a traditional leader, different people in the kingdom or in the chiefdom go to different political parties or affiliate different political parties. But when you, as a chief, you know, as a traditional leader, you begin to say, me, I am this. What does it mean for other subjects who are not? It actually divides the country. So Reverend Bolo there was actually calling for unity, and regardless of how much tokens of appreciation you receive from these political figures, do not take sides.
Yeah, quite an interesting subject, Sharon, there. And you are right by stating that we need to issue, especially those who have been given the privilege to lead the people, need to stay away from active politics. This is for the simple reason, Sharon, like you said, you have many subjects who are UPND, socialist, PF. So the moment you start wearing a regalia, if someone is UPND and you are putting on a PF regalia as a chief, they say, why should I go to a chief who supports the party I do not support, or you know? But so you as the traditional leader, you have to make sure that your subjects coexist in terms of unity and diversity, regardless of their political affiliation. You need to help them understand that there's more beyond politics, because in the past it has been our inability as citizens to understand that there's more that unites us than that what divides us, because at the end of the day, politics is just a game. Probably it's a competition. So it's said that there's, for example, we had a time to win the AFCON as Zambia. Yeah. Who got it? Our friends were aggrieved. But they came, they took the trophy from us. So we also have to fight for it. But does it mean that we have to exhibit hatred? No. But when people are in the pitch, they exhibit love, tolerance, everything, because it's the game at the end of the day. So just the way it is about democracy. So democracy, every time I always labor to refer to this phrase, which is it's about tolerating the views that you do not like from someone you might not like. So if you're able to tolerate those views, then it means that you will coexist.
Exactly.
Because I don't have to like you to understand your perspective or your opinion on a subject. At the end of the day, it's about, okay, you believe in that, I believe in this. Okay, we are the socialists, you are the capitalist. Okay, let's compete on that. If Zambians begin to appreciate the capitalist policies, though they went for the PF and they still went for the UPND. If Zambians believe on the socialist policies, they would choose to go for the Socialist Party, or probably the Economic Front, it is also tilted towards the socialist concept. So now, there is no way you just because people are different in opinion, you would want to go the other way around. But the tendency of Brown and Group Sharon, especially among us, our clergy, has not really died, don't you say? Because sometimes you see them say, now we have a project here, so they will invite this prominent person so they can donate. When they donate, you see, we saw some elders of certain churches Sharon going to donate, and they're donating in huge quantities of amounts. So probably they construct the entire church at the end of the day. Now,
the entire church corrupt.
now, what happens? What happens if the same elder now makes a mistake?
You can't rebuke them.
Or is involved in corruption?
You can't.
As you fail to even stand on the pulpit to preach against corruption in church, to say, you people who come to this church, make sure you stay away from corruption, because you say, if I say, then the sponsor may be thinking that I'm targeting him.
Exactly.
So I would rather divert the message. So at the end of the day, it compromises our position, even in the church, as we try to provide these sermons to counsel the people, to help people understand various issues. And it is no wonder you'd see sermons or preachings, Sharon, being tilted towards a certain agenda. Give. Hey, type. Offering. So at the end of the day, you discover that at the end of the day, people are not being told about salvation, because they are being told, say, Sharon, you are there, you're going to do this, my daughter. I see a pajero, I see a hammer coming your way. Amen, pastor. Sharon abandons work and goes for a morning prayer and goes to pray. And by the end of the day, you have to work, Sharon.
Yeah.
Don't think that vehicle is coming falling from the sky like manna. So you need to work. But at the end of the day, sometimes the way things may be approached, they make you think it's like it will just fall. You know what? As opposed to promoting hard work and everything. So sometimes you find that you'd rather just talk about money. And those who have it, the politicians, who come and give you the money. And what are you going to say? Nothing. So you discover that as we try to fight the corruption, the church will be mute on several important issues, Sharon.
Indeed, Patrick, well elaborated. These are things that we've been taking note in the course of our duty as we bring out these stories to you, for you to make informed decisions. And we will continue to bring out these issues and helping the country unite, heal, and become whole at any given time whenever we see these anomalies happening. However, today we are running with a topic, rather a question. Are the salaries increments for the members of parliament necessary?
Yeah.
Do we need that
at this
particular time? Of course, you can send us those text messages and just ask yourselves whether we need those things, whether the MPs need those salary increments. Do they need them?
Yeah.
Looking at the current situation in the country, really, Patrick, you and
couldn't they wait?
Couldn't they wait?
But when we're told about CDF and other projects, we are told to say, sometimes other projects say there's no money, or it's work in progress.
But obviously, maybe it's in the 2023 national budget.
All the same, Sharon, the country is still healing.
All the same, the country is still healing. The country is still being organized according to Chief Marketing Officer. That's what he says. To say in the first year, we are organizing the country. We are putting things in place. Then after that, start now working.
Because if you look at on a monthly basis, probably members of parliament going away with 80,000 each. Now that's what they will be going away with. Now by 120, let's see, just roughly say 120 constituencies, 156 constituencies, isn't it?
Okay, but what do they?
Now all that money just goes to the legislature. On top of that, they are entitled to that car loan and everything. Oof, probably everyone else should be running for parliamentarian, because they're probably,
I think so.
Probably in leadership. So. It's no longer about servant leadership. No,
it's not.
It's about enriching themselves.
And you know, I'm wondering why that even went ahead, because obviously it was discussed in cabinet, and the head of cabinet being the president was there, and he's somebody who's always been talking about servant leadership. And even though it was approved, and then taken to parliament, approved there,
you see?
You
see? And some of the people who are in that committee include the Minister of Finance and other key ministers that are there, even the Minister of Local Government that are on that committee that approved that. So probably they agreed, anonymously agreed.
So let's increase.
So, but when it comes to, we have been lamenting over other issues that are important to the country.
The CDF has been dispersed in parts.
You see?
It's been dispersed in parts for one of the reasons that probably the money is not ready, and there is no smoke without fire, you know. But for me, my concern is, where is the servant leadership that people have been calling for, those in government, saying, no, we are here to save the people. We are here to save the people 10 months down the line when folk don't have salaries.
Which people are you saving?
Which people are you saving? You know, the people that you're saving are not even buying cooking water, man.
Well, let's try to also look at this story, Sean, that was in the news. The opposition National Democratic Congress Party President Savoy Imboela is scheduled to report Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Registrar of Societies to the Anti-Corruption Commission. Addressing the media Tuesday, Ms. Imboela explains that the confusion in most political parties, among them the NDC, is a sponsored agenda by Mr. Akafumba, who once led the NDC faction. She notes that the NDC faction, being led by Mr. George Sichula, should not be tolerated because they have no constitutional right, hence rendering their alliance invalid. So quite an interesting story there. Let's get to listen to that.
Earlier this year, an audio recording was leaked to the media by one of the privately owned television stations, allegedly involving Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Joseph Akafumba, and one of the senior officials from State House. In the audio, the duo was heard planning on destabilizing one of the opposition political parties, and 5 months down the line, no substantial response has been given towards the investigations instituted by the law enforcement agencies. With that said, the National Democratic Congress Party President Savoy Imboela has taken a step to report Mr. Akafumba and the Registrar of Societies to the Anti-Corruption Commission for allegedly interfering with the operations of the opposition parties in Zambia, among them the NDC, to which a faction was formed led by Mr. Akafumba before his appointment. The NDC leader says Mr. Akafumba should not be in that office unless his bad decisions have the blessings of the Republican president.
But now, because you've got the UPNG in office, what they are doing, they are using the Registrar of Societies to destabilize political parties. And that is the reason also why they put Mr. Akafumba there as a PS.
Exactly.
You know? Because it should concern you as members of the public to say, why is this person that was behind this confusion doing certain things, you know? Why has he been put at the very ministry which is in charge of political parties in the country? Are you getting the point? And thank God that audio leaked for people to see exactly what you're talking about. Mr. Akafumba has not stopped there. What is going on now with the Chief Registrar of Societies is very, very saddening, to the effect whereby when we've been trying to do our annual returns just some 2-3 months ago,
yes,
they even stopped us from doing that. As a party that had confusion in the past, things like annual returns, because that's what we have decided as NDCs that tomorrow we are going to the Anti-Corruption Commission. We are going to report, number 1, Mr. Akafumba, number 2, the Registrar of Societies. And apart from reporting them, for the registrar of societies, because she's an officer that is being given commands to do very illegal things. I was trying to look for a very good word. Because she's a person that is being given those commands to do those things, we are going to sue her in her personal capacity.
Meanwhile, Ms. Imboela has accused the ruling party of failing to champion the gender agenda, especially after taking office.
Straight to the president. There's a lot of sexual harassment in your party, Mr. President. Did you know that? A lot of sexual harassment. Some of us left UPND because of that. I've always said that. There's a lot of sexual harassment in that part. The same things that was happening in opposition, it has happened in government. There are people, Mr. President, right now, they have a room or rooms at Pamosi Hotel permanently. People that could not afford to buy suits, proper suits before elections, they've got permanent rooms at Pamosi Hotel where women have to pass through to get appointments. Do you know that, Mr. President? So when I say that UPND and your leadership, you don't respect women, that's what I mean. Sexual harassment in your organization is a clear indication of how you don't respect women. So, Mr. President, handle your people. And having been a member of the UPND, I'll tell you for a fact, if there's a decent man in this world, decent man, it's a church. That I can't even throw stones and say, no. If
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
There you have it. Quite an interesting story there coming from the NDC Savoy Imboela camp, and they call themselves the legitimate camp. And there are quite a number of issues, Sharon. I didn't know that there are even cases of sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment, yeah. She actually talked about it a lot. Only that, you know, when you are carrying a news story, you just pick a few points.
So you had to censor some stuff.
Yeah, you had to censor some stuff because it was a long press briefing, one of the longest that she's had. I think she spoke for about an hour plus. Before I even got tired of filming, she even started dancing with the camera, just for her to get those shots. But she brought out quite a number of issues. So today at 9, she's scheduled to go to the Anti-Corruption Commission, like she mentioned, to report Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Mr. Joseph Akafumba, and the Registrar of Societies. You are aware, Patrick, and the viewers out there, that Mr. Akafumba led one of the factions on NDC until his appointment. And being placed there, according to Savoy, he says the president is giving him a go-ahead to destabilize political parties in the country. She's basing her argument on the fact that it has been very difficult for the NDC to pay their returns as a political party, as a legal entity at the Registrar of Societies. They had to engage the minister, who is Jack Mwimbu, and the other permanent secretary for them to manage. And actually, they were thanking e-governors that they only managed to file in their returns or their subscription using online platforms. If not for that, they wouldn't have managed. And if at all they failed, their party risked deregistration. And according to her, she says that is the works of Mr. Akafumba. Secondly, she brought in the issue of sexual harassment. This is not new, Patrick. She has talked about this a couple of times. She says she left the UPND because she was sexually harassed. Now that they are in power, it's even worse. According to her, also, a statement we didn't capture that she mentioned was that it's actually evidence from the fact that when the vice president is walking in a room, nobody stands, you know? Nobody stands for her, as opposed to when the president is coming in, simply because he's a man, people will stand. So for her, that is just one of the examples that she feels is a clear testament that the UPND and its leadership do not respect women. And that some people have actually come to one of the hotels, you know, chewing our language, Patrick. You know, they've made it a slaughterhouse for girls, and
those want jobs.
Yes, those that want jobs, but those are the things that she was talking about. Quite a lot of things that came out, really. If you want to listen to everything, just sit down there and listen to it, laugh about it.
I remember of a report of sex for grades. Now we have sex for jobs.
Yes.
But that's quite another delicate issue that we may need also, even us as the media, try to delve into on an in-depth perspective, because it's quite an alarming statement. It's and we don't need to reduce ourselves to that level. You know, if you are not appointed or left behind, you don't have to sell your body.
There are many things
to do
that to become successful. For me, also, I think it's because of having this mentality of wanting to be employed, you know, by the so-called what. But then there are many things that people can do to become successful.
Yes.
On your own, genuinely do. And
genuinely do, yes. I've known that.
Outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And truth be told is that women are vulnerable, you know, when it comes to these situations. And I wouldn't be very shocked, I wouldn't be very surprised, or maybe I wouldn't actually argue with her to say she didn't go through that, because it's not written when you experience such.
Yes.
You know, it's not written. So she may have experienced that, and she's speaking from an informed perspective. We just hope that those that are listening, those in authority, do not take advantage of their positions by making sure that women go to bed with them for them to get these positions. It's not necessary. I think
it's
if
not.
one is qualified, just give them what they deserve.
For me, I think there are a lot of things that contradict what the president's perspective is. What I think is why no wonder many people have been wondering whether these people even share the vision of the president.
No.
Because you'll be there to say, at least I would rather I practice servant leadership. But on the other hand, you'd find that they go and do the salaries. The president would say, I would employ people on merit, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of what, as long as you are qualified for the job. But others have set up a camp,
a slaughterhouse.
A slaughterhouse. So that's it. To say, okay, we are going to recommend you. You go there. You recruited under the police. Recruited under ZNS. Recruited and so. But if there's such a thing, probably I hope it should to an end. Because that's not a good intervention, especially in a Christian state like Zambia. We should be treated to such issues, and we just hope Madam Imboya has sufficient evidence and sufficient information to that allegation. It's quite a heavy allegation, Sharon, and
she obviously she has the evidence, because really I wouldn't just wake up and start saying this person, I was harassed by these people. Like, you know, you're bracketing everybody. Like in this situation, she's saying the United Party for National Development, you know.
Yeah, but we know
she went further to say if there's an honorable man in that party, actually even the whole country in Zambia and the world at large that she knows is President Hakainde Hichilema. So really, she's wondering why his foot soldiers are into that while he himself is not. So basically what you say to say he probably doesn't even know certain things are happening.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. So you'd see that it's no wonder people would take advantage, because you know the president has a lot of issues to attend to. So probably say, okay, then people, just because Sharon have recruited, say, Sharon, help me recruit 10 people. Doesn't mean Sharon, you should abuse that privilege I've given you.
And doesn't mean that you share my thing.
Yes. So, but then you, Sharon, you go there and say, pay 50,000 if you want your jobs. So that you get a sense. But I've just told you, Sharon, recruit people. I didn't tell you to get money from them. You understand? You understand, right? You see, at Katao Chap, but Muleo Chap, we push him pang. We push him pang.
The Ministry of Green Economy obviously is listening and saying, what time will I afford?
Yeah, no, Nishi.
But anyway, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast, and right now we take a very short break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Remember, we are talking about the salary increments for the members of Parliament, obviously, in the 2023 national budget. However, it was approved. We are just waiting when they will implement it. Let's talk about this. Send us those text messages on this topic, among other issues that are happening in your various localities. Let's take a break, and when we return, we continue the conversation.
The Bible says, I knew I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned. We testify. We celebrate for all you've done. Lord. We give you all the praise. Oh, we testify. We celebrate.
Thank you for staying with us. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, Governance and Policy. With me, Patrick Soko, and Sharon Kalimbula. And we hope you are keeping those text messages coming in line with our topic of discussion, where we are discussing the increment of salaries, or rather allowances, by members of parliament. That's the report was approved. So it means that probably in the 2023 national budget, that measure could take effect. Indeed. And it means that the lawmakers who have more on their in their pocket.
That's what it means. More money in their pockets.
Yeah.
And
you know, and I have there's an interesting story that we're going to play edit to later about this. It came through Sharon on a Sunday. The story is about these stakeholders who were. I remember the president himself said he had forgone his salary. Mm-hmm. The president himself said he needed servant leadership, but his members of parliament went ahead and increased their salaries at a time when the country is recovering. Exactly. I remember Given Lubinda at a press briefing when the members of parliament were suspended from parliament by Madam Neri Muti, should be Tractor Chisangano, should be being the deputy. They went and did a press briefing. They conducted a press briefing where they bragged to say, in fact, we don't need the allowance because we're not. That's not our motivation. In fact, we're just there to save, because at the end of the day, whatever we inject cannot be compared to the allowance. We spend more in our constituencies, but the people who were saying they do not need, they are not motivated by allowances. They wanted increments. What are they telling us?
Exactly.
Hypocrisy. So we are going to go to that story, but first of all, let's look at this story, Sharon. A family of Lusaka West Township has lamented the slow pace of electricity connection by the country's power utility company, ZESCO, stating that they have not yet been connected since 2018, despite making the full payment of 2,800 kwacha. In an interview, Ms. Bernadette Manda, who is a house owner, explains that this has been negatively impacting our school-going children as they cannot study at night.
All right, let's play the stories back to back. Mr. Fred Kawata, Member of Parliament Andrew Tayengo, has clarified that there is no illegal issuance of land in Kawata, as a United Party for National Development is a law-abiding administration. Speaking to Camnet TV, Mr. Tayengo says activities which happened in Kawata sought permit from the council to set up temporary trading spaces. Mr. Tayengo has further urged the police to ensure they conclude investigations before arresting anyone. Meanwhile, Kawata Ward 6 Councillor Walia Chishala has urged the media to be professional in how they run their stories, saying the media is cardinal in unifying the nation. Now, this story, Patrick, is emanating from the story that was done on Monday, where this Kawata Ward 6 Councillor Walia Chishala was dividing pieces of land at one of the illegal sites in Kawata for people to trade temporarily, according to him, you know, and that he sought permit from the council to say people can trade from there while they look for a permanent place for people to trade from. But it was intercepted before it could even take shape, you know. But if you go there today, you will see obviously that people were demarcating these pieces of land to themselves in readiness for conducting businesses such as selling vegetables, such as tomatoes, among other greens. But the process was intercepted by the police. Among other people were arrested. And yesterday, the Member of Parliament, Andrew Tayenga, was at Central Police to just see to it how the situation can be dealt with. And yeah, he talked to Cabinet TV as an update to the story that was done on Monday. Let's look at these stories back to back, Mr. Fred.
Access to energy is key to lifting people out of poverty as it provides easy access to economic activities. It is for this reason that Zambia in 2015 signed up to the Sustainable Development Goals, which are to be achieved by 2030, with goal number 7 aiming at ensuring easy access to clean, affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Basic electricity connection, even in urban areas, is however still a challenge, despite only years remaining till 2030. A case in point is a family of Lusaka West in Mango Grove area who say they have not been connected since 2019, despite paying 2,800 kwacha for the service. Owner of the house, Ms. Bernadette Manda, has explained the challenges the family faces, including her school-going children.
So, why swabwera pano kubolo ika malaiti? Ni reason why chamene swafikira kubolo kuika malaiti. Now uzakere mbani later. Inengati nikugula nizigulire neka. Banaka na kunembera later. Nichaje chamene swafuna kunembera later. Kuti nizigulire neka. So inendiye tandaulo yanga, ifuna baniuze wazesco pamene bayimirira ni party. Bafuna chani. Bana manga bakandika kuverenga just because of malaiti. School mwana wanga ashita engineering ali ku CPU akanga kubwera pano pa nyumba just because ya malaiti. Pano mchani ma pipes ye naika ma pipes pali na boho nikandwa kuti boho yambe kusebenza malaiti yambe kusebenza bose hivyo because of lack of nani bazesco sofuna mtandiza katumbi yanga yaonongeka mafriji yaonongeka bintu varumana pano.
Miss Manda further says that only poles were set up at her house last year, adding that there has been no positive response from ZESCO after this development. The house owner feels that the current situation may have left room for illegalities, as some community members who only made payments in 2022 have already been connected, leaving those from as far back as 2019.
Manani pempa ine kuti ni gumbe bigodi yo shanga mo mapo. Ani mapozi ayo kuti tigumbe kuno kwatu kuno kulimiana. Nina gumba migodi yo inaba kufikirika na manzi futi. Again wanikumbiza futi. Ndipo mimi banani netera mapozi. After waibika mapozi yaje. Banuza ti ntambo tilibe sebazesco. Adieti ndichiwazanga ntambo baba letera. Ichistoka kuti. Pamene ine zinisoba kuti banuletere ine zisoba. Ani pamene tunabata enda kuli wa boss. Balakamba tiyai ntambo zinabwera yesterday. Ziliko material iliko. So miembekeze 3 days time bazapo kuikira ni malaiti. But in naembekeza until 3 months. So boloika malaiti kuno. But lishani uza boss kuti ntambo ziliko. So inachamene ndanda wala kuti why swabwera pano kuboloika malaiti.
The Ministry of Energy, however, recently revealed that there is a 60,000 connection backlog at ZESCO, as it has been subsidizing the connection fees, making its operations unsustainable. The subsidies were, however, earlier this year scrapped off, which saw connection fees now standing at over 6,000 kwacha from an average of 2,000 kwacha. It remains clear that the task for ZESCO remains huge if to offer access to clean energy for all by 2030 in the face of the huge backlog in electricity connections. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Disputes on alleged illegal land issuance in Kawata constituency has gone into day 2, with Kawata constituency Member of Parliament Andrew Tayengo on the scene to clarify the whole matter. Earlier this week, Camnet TV aired a story in which some UPND members were allegedly suspected to be dishing out council lands to cadres at a sum of 50,000 kwacha per plot. The allegations, which Mr. Tayengo has described as false, stating that all activities that have so far taken place has been with the full knowledge of the Lusaka City Council, adding that they are yet to conclude negotiations with ZESCO, who has since allowed them to set up temporary structures 5 meters away from the electricity poles.
Past, when we were in the opposition, even now, we are law-abiding citizens, and that's the reason why even our people here, together with the residents of Kawata Ward, they decided to make an application through the council, and the council is actually in the process of responding to the temporary permit that they have requested, They also wrote a letter to ZESCO, and ZESCO advised if you are able to find a space that is 15 or 16 meters away from the pylons, then you are good to go. And
Mr. Tayengo has further said he is aware of some unscrupulous people who intend to occupy the said land using deceptive means, saying that the law will visit them.
This issue, there's a history, this land. There's a history. I'm told that some PF guys did apply, and I've seen a site flying that has been flying around, okay, people wanting to get some plots here, okay, illegally, okay, and we're not going to allow that, because I know and I'm aware that there's some certain individuals who have been working with the surveyor at Ministry of Lands, wanting to do wrong things. We're not going to allow that, and I know these personalists, I know some of these surveyors who are at Ministry of Lands, and we will not allow anyone to start demarcating land without the involvement of the area councillor. And
Chileje Ward 8 Councillor Ruben Munya says it is unfair that police was quick to arrest people without concluding investigations.
Opposite Lewanikamo, in those power lines across the Lewanikamo, go to Kamwala, go to Soweto, people are trading under the power lines. Yes. Want to find out who is giving them the authority. Yes. So, you journalists, don't just report things because it's UPN or what. Go and do an investigative report. Go to Lewanikamo, opposite Lewanikamo. There are people trading under the power lines there. Yes. Find out on our behalf who has given them the authority.
The example is
here. There's a neighbor there. There's a neighbor there. Find out from us who has given them the authority.
Meanwhile, Kabata Ward 6 Councillor Bola Chishala has urged the media to uphold professionalism in their reports.
The journalists, that we need to be professional in the way we conduct ourselves. The article that was written by Movie TV is very unfortunate, and I would like to challenge them that if they can come on the ground and provide that proof, as they stated, to say that land was being demarcated here and it was being sold at 50,000 kwacha, that is a very, very big lie. And as journalists, we should be responsible, because whatever it is that we are going to report, people will react. And the reaction yesterday was very bad.
Messi Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
At a time when the country is in economic recovery mode, Parliament on Thursday, 30th June 2022, unanimously approved the increase of up to 17% salaries and allowances paid to members of Parliament. The increment means that MPs will on average take home 80,000 and be entitled to 3,000 per sitting and enjoy $120,000 car loan. During the debate held in Camila, MPs adopted the report from the Parliamentary Reforms and Modernization Committee, which recommended that salaries and other benefits be adjusted upwards. It comes at a time when President Hakainde Hichilema has been preaching servant leadership.
Once we accept to serve the public, we must acknowledge that we are here to serve and not to be served.
This makes people wonder if at all UPND members of Parliament share the vision of their party leader, who has even given up his salary.
I am funded by myself. The little investments we made when we were working for ourselves for such a long time, under difficult time, is now to allow others to have access to opportunity.
Still on the historical context, the Patriotic Front, during the suspension of some of its members from participating in parliamentary business, claimed that money was not the motivation, but serving the people.
Being a parliamentarian myself, I know what I'm talking about. Huh? So, don't be bothered about them talking about emoluments, because after all, you're not there for emoluments. You are there to represent your people.
However, members of Parliament have come under scrutiny from members of the general public who feel parliamentarians just represent their selfish interest.
So civil servant afuna kundamaza zote wabaikire wasabarundire salary wasifuna yamba 15 pina mafoni
ngati ufapakira ma NP nanga baje benango ari kumbuye kuri watu ma NP bazamufala fichani abene mu situation money sidi much.
Perhaps this qualifies the vase of Ecclesiastes
5 verse 10, which states that whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income.
This is not the right time to start talking of pay rise or increase in the allocation of their vehicle allowances. This is not the right time. This is a time to work for the people.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Wow, quite a marathon of stories we had there.
Indeed, Patrick. And summing up, is the story of salaries and what we are talking about this morning, servant leadership. Why the salary increment, if at all you are servants? Actually, they should be advocating for a reduction of their salaries.
Exactly, Charles. That money should go to the next privilege.
Yes.
You see, so if you claim that I'm just here to save the people, probably
because these people claim to say no, because when you go to our constituencies, we need to spend. I mean, you're not supposed to spend as per constitution, because you've got constituency development funds, which are monies that are supposed to be spent towards the projects that are happening in various constituencies, and therefore your money as an MP is not supposed to be splashed around. You do that at your own discretion.
Yes.
So you cannot use that as an excuse for your salary to be increased because you spend a lot when you go to your constituencies. It's not supposed to be like that. That is not a good reason enough. And besides, the country is healing. Like the president keeps saying, we keep referring to him because this is what he's been talking about. The country is healing. The cost of living is very high, unprecedentedly high, and therefore you cannot be talking about increasing salaries for people who are already comfortable. Yeah? People are living on less than $1.
exactly.
They are living on 15 kwacha. You, with a salary of over 50p, you want an increment. How many life is unfair? This is so unfair.
Yes, and when you say they are saving the people, how many bills have they actually implemented to just support the interest of the people?
Exactly.
For me, I beg to disagree because most of these statements are not tallying, because at the end of the day, you discover that it's about them. At the end of the day, like that, one of the callers, Sharon, they said, in fact, these people have their businesses, they are rich, and they're
already privileged. Now, so it actually speaks to one of the verses in the Bible that you quoted that one.
Yes.
But I'm also going to quote another one, which says the poor will become more poor and the rich will become more rich in the end time days.
Yes, I think
maybe this is the situation.
Yes, Sharon.
I don't understand why. You already have a salary. You already have a car that has been given to you for free, You've already been given a room, a boba, a parliament motel. If you stay far, if your family stays out of Lusaka, you can still camp there for free. They'll just cut probably a minimum allowance. Even for sitting in parliament, you're getting an allowance.
Yes.
For sitting in those committees, you're getting an allowance.
If NGOs invite you to appear, you are getting an allowance.
If at all you're going for these committees, agricultural committees, budget committees, what you're going in various districts, those are allowances. What more do you want?
You see?
Servant leadership, indeed. Maybe we don't understand.
It is no wonder, people sometimes would even say, I would rather not be voting. You get it? Sometimes you get frustrated.
When Joshua will get a 04, we are done. If it's 2021, really, because I was staying just behind the polling station. The queues were actually up to my gate, And then I was wondering, what's happening? Guys, my voters.
To just go and report, just go and get someone a job.
Who is going to ensure that they are
earning more than it?
Does not reduce, but their salaries increase so that they can afford.
And you can imagine, we're under our system, the way our governance structure is that we have ministers who are also largely selected from the ruling party. So you discover that they earn their ministerial salary, and then they also earn parliamentary salary.
And among other salaries that may come with those positions, among other privileges.
Privileges, yes.
Like, shine, those brown envelopes, shine.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
And this comes at a time, for example, when a councillor still earns 3,000.
And they are the ones that are on the dealing with the grassroots. I think at one point, one of the councillors we spoke to said, you know, we are the first respondents to whatever is happening in the communities. You know, the member of parliament will not even show up sometimes for these funerals, these issues of illnesses. No, in that part, we are councillor, because at the same time, we think our leaders, like in those positions, are supposed to help us, but they are not mandated to.
Yes, you are right.
They are not mandated to do that. They do that out of their own free will, out of Ubuntu, you know. Because when you're living with people in a community, you're morally compelled to do certain things, like help out, in a 3-pin.
You see the challenges, but
someone who's getting above 60, once they're starting to be 80,
where are we going?
Where are we going? Servant leadership indeed.
It's quite delicate, Sharon. At the time, you know, for example, if you look at these other challenges, citizens are struggling, for example, to connect to the national electricity grid. This is on account that the government can no longer provide subsidies. We have, according to the Minister of Energy, a backlog of 60,000 connection. They are saying that it was due to subsidies. But you see what that does is that now it seems Zambia's money, but it's about how it is spending its money. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, they thought it wise to say we shouldn't buy those cables so that woman there in Lusaka West should be connected to electricity. We would rather increase our salaries
so that we are able to buy more gas,
more gas,
more everything. We are able to use our washing machine, our dishwashing machine. We are able to use our sweeping machines, you know, so that we are able to use our massaging machines. All those come with electricity, you know. So the more you have electrical appliances, the more you use power. So they're actually looking at it, obviously, on that point of view, saying, no, I think we need more money in our pockets for us to afford this luxurious life that we need.
Indeed. Well, this is the time when we have to also excuse the screens and pave way to other programs. Of course, as usual on Camnet TV, we have quite a number of interesting programs, but be sure to join the 1930 main news. And before that, we also have the 12 hours news that you can stick around to make sure you just watch. On behalf of my co-host, Sharon Kalimbula, I've been Patrick Soko. And see you tomorrow when we come with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast. Stay tuned.
Good morning.